Barton Teeters spoke with police about what did and did not happen in this case. Barton?
Well, Brian and Sue, I talked to the family of the victims a little earlier today. They don't want to go on camera until the suspect is found, but they did say they want to know why police did what they did in this case.
Hi, my name is Madison, and you are listening to Who's Knocking, yet another true crime podcast. Welcome back. Today, I have a somewhat unsolved multiple murder for you, and you'll see what I mean later when I say that it is somewhat unsolved. Alright? So I'm just going to get right into it. Our story today takes place in Grand Rapids, Michigan on March 13th, 2019. So Grand Rapids is a pretty big growing city. It's the second largest city in Michigan, actually. Recently, Grand Rapids were named Beer City, USA, or I guess the beer capital, or that's what they're going for. They have over 40 different breweries, so if you're into beer, Grand Rapids may be for you. Another thing that Grand Rapids is very well known for is its crime rate, which is very high. According to 2021 FBI statistics, a person's chances of becoming a victim of violent or property crime is only 1 in 28, which is very high chances that you will be a victim of crime. Grand Rapids is safer than only 7% of all other American cities. And the specific location of the crime that we're going to talk about today, that the crime took place in a very high crime neighborhood within Grand Rapids. So Grand Rapids as a whole is high crime, and this specific location is like the highest level of crime that you can find within the city. There's also a lot of drug use in Grand Rapids, not surprisingly. Drugs often tend to go hand in hand with crime. Like a lot of areas in North America, we're seeing a lot of opioids and fentanyl addictions, overdoses, et cetera, et cetera. So this is kind of going to go in a little bit of a different narrative than usual, but just go with me, okay? So I'm going to play for you a 911 call, and I want you to pretend, as you're listening to this call, that you are a Grand Rapids 911 operator. That's what they're called. You've been an operator for a while, I assume. You've heard a lot of crazy things, especially given that you are a Grand Rapids operator. I'm assuming that all Grand Rapids emergency services workers have seen and heard a lot of things. You've experienced people calling who are on drugs or in the middle of some sort of mental health crisis, as well as people who are in great danger, and time is of the essence. You're a 911 operator. That's your job, right? Remember, as a 911 operator, you are the first line of defense. It is your job to listen to the caller, interpret the situation, and relay the information as accurately as possible to the dispatch officers or to the dispatcher, who will then relay it to the officers. But regardless, you're the first person to be in contact with the person calling. So here you go. Listen up.
911 emergency.
Hi, I need help.
Hello?
I need help.
Okay, where are you located? I'm sorry, ma'am, I can't hear you. Are you able to tell me where you're located?
No.
Are you at a...
553 Sheldon Avenue Southeast. Please hurry now.
Okay, I got Sheldon. What's the number?
553. Hurry, please hurry up.
553 Sheldon. Okay, can you tell me what's going on there?
Can you just hurry up, please? I'm gonna die. He's trying to kill me. He already killed my family. You need to hurry up, please.
Okay, ma'am, I'll start the police that way. Can you tell me what your name is?
Keyona.
Who's the person who's causing trouble there?
Please hurry up. He about to kill me. Please hurry up.
Okay, I've got a call entered, so we're going to get the police started that way, all right? Can you tell me what room of the house you're in?
I'm sure that was very difficult to understand. The caller was whispering very quietly, and I'll get to what was actually said, but as the 911 operator, that is what you had. So I'm trying very hard to be unbiased here, but I already know the outcome of the story, so of course that's obviously impossible. You guys can hold me accountable in the comment section if you'd like, but if I'm the 911 operator, this is my opinion, I think that after that call, I would be assuming that there was either one of two things going on here. One, either this is somebody who is mentally ill or on drugs or just fucking around. Regardless, this person may actually need help. But maybe it's not, a crazy emergency. Maybe it's just somebody trying to fuck with you or, just messing around. Two, this is a person who is in serious danger and is in very close proximity to somebody who means to do them harm, which is why she was whispering. So I can't think of any other scenarios between those two. And the first scenario is multiple scenarios, sure, but it's like a less serious thing. I have no experience being a 911 operator. So take my opinion with a very large grain of salt. Perhaps I'm missing something here, I don't know, but to me, if one of the possibilities of the two, or multiple possibilities, is that somebody is in very close proximity to imminent danger, even if that's not the most likely possibility, I think you should probably err on the side of treating that situation as if that is what's happening, as if this woman is about to be murdered. Now, I will play the 911 call with subtitles now so that you can understand what was being said. And for those listening, I'll include a link in the show notes to an article that has a transcript of the call. So if you want to follow along, go click that link and you can see exactly what was said. Here we go.
911 emergency.
Hi, I need help.
Hello?
I need help.
Okay, where are you located? I'm sorry, ma'am, I can't hear you. Are you able to tell me where you're located?
No.
Are you at a...
553 Sheldon Avenue Southeast. Please hurry now.
Okay, I got Sheldon. What's the number?
553. Hurry, please hurry up.
553 Sheldon. Okay, can you tell me what's going on there?
Just hurry up, please. I'm gonna die. He's trying to kill me. He already killed my auntie. Just hurry up, please.
Okay, ma'am, I'll start the police that way. Can you tell me what your name is?
Keyona.
Who's the person who's causing trouble there?
Please hurry up. He's about to kill me. Please hurry up.
Okay, I've got a call entered, so we're going to get the police started that way, all right? Can you tell me what room of the house you're in?
A little scarier with subtitles, right? And now keep in mind this 911 operator did not have subtitles, so, fair enough. The woman who made this 911 call was 25-year-old Keyona Griffin. She was described as very bubbly, kind, loyal. There's really not a whole lot about her. Later we'll hear from her family members a little bit, but we don't, know too much about her. She was raised alongside of her brother. She was among a lot of family. She had a lot of family. They loved her very much. She was just starting her life. She had everything going for her. And she was in a situation where she was doing something rather brave by calling 911 when she was in pretty severe imminent danger to try to save herself. I wish I could find more on Keyona because her case has received a lot of attention. If you know anything about her personally, I would love to hear about it because that's definitely something that's missing in this episode for sure. The residents of 553 Sheldon Avenue were Keyona Griffin, her auntie, Charlotta Baber Bay, Charlotta's boyfriend, Daryl Brown, who also went by Jay, and Keyona's grandmother, Jacqueline Baber Bay. Here is the body cam footage of the police arriving at 553 Sheldon Avenue exactly 7 minutes and 41 seconds after Keyona's call to 911.
This call looked interesting. I'm trying to kill her. Sounds like she could be 96 too, you know? Seems like it's empty. You can see it. It looks like a little dining room or something in there. It's empty.
This just goes around. There's nothing in the back here.
So in that first clip, we see some officers walking up to the home, very casually exchanging some jokes and pleasantries. Definitely not exhibiting emergency situation vibes, if you ask me. The question that this behavior begs is, were they not told that it was an emergency? What information was relayed to them that led them to act as if they were arriving at a potluck dinner? That's my first question. The way that it works, according to my research, is you have the 911 operator. This is the person who received the call from Keyona and took down all the information. They then relay that information to a person called a dispatcher, who then will take that information and inform deputies of the situation and prep them to go to the scene. So there are 3 levels between Keyona and the officers arriving at her door. We do not know exactly what was said in all of these interactions, but we do have one piece, and here it is.
Suspicious condition. We have a female whispering on the line that somebody's trying to assault her.
The content of that sounds like it's an emergency, but I don't know. It kind of doesn't, again, give any emergency vibes to me. To be fair, all the communication between 911 operators, dispatchers, officers, whatever, it is always and usually done in a very calm manner because that should be the case. I'm not saying that this person should have been shouting that, but I don't know. It just doesn't sound like they were like, you know, I don't know. You tell me after if you have any issue with that little tidbit. And again, that is only a piece of the conversation that happened through all those steps. Back to the video of the police officers arriving. Another thing. So on the way up to the door, one of the officers says to the other one, quote, "It sounds like she could be 96, you know," end quote. 96 is the police code for a person exhibiting psychotic behavior. To me, this is evidence that somebody has kind of tried to make this seem a little bit less dire of a situation than the worst case scenario, which if you're emergency services, shouldn't you be going in for like worst case scenario? Maybe it's a problem of lack of resources, but just like a little hustle, a little pep in the step maybe. So the officers were there for a while. No one answered the door. They looked around back. They checked the windows. They saw no blood, no signs of break-in, nothing suspicious at all, so they left. We will analyze all of this in a little bit after I finish going through what happened. So the officers left, gone. 2 hours and 18 minutes after the police officers left 553 Sheldon, they received a second 911 call. Heads up, this is a pretty upsetting phone call. Here it is.
911 emergency.
From the 553 Sheldon, my sister not moving.
What's the address?
553 Sheldon, there's blood everywhere. My sister is not moving.
Okay, stand on line. You said shirt?
553 Sheldon, Southeast. It's a yellow house, please. Hurry up.
553 Sheldon Avenue Southeast, so correct?
Yes, please.
You said she's not breathing.
I don't know. She's not moving. I'm holding her head, please.
Okay, alrighty. Stay on the line with me. I do have fire and police on the way. Stay on the line with me. We're going to connect over to medical, okay?
Please, please.
And you said that there's blood everywhere?
There's blood everywhere.
Did she cut herself or try to commit suicide?
I don't know. She's doing her job and she's patient.
Grand Rapids here. I pre-alerted already for 553 Sheldon Avenue Southeast.
553 Sheldon Southeast?
Yes. Pre-alert already for a female there not breathing. Caller says she sees a lot of blood.
All right. Caller?
Oh, please.
Ma'am?
Oh, my Lord.
Ma'am, I have help on the way. I have a few questions. Tell me exactly what happened.
Come on, is she back here? Oh, my God.
Ma'am, I need to know what's going on there. Tell me what's going on.
Not a man with her brother. I don't know. She's naked. I usually stop over here before I go to work to my granny's house, and her friend was over here outside. We came in, and I didn't even come upstairs. Her friend did, and she here naked. Blood everywhere, please.
Okay.
Keyona!
All right. How old is she?
She's 20. She born in 94.
Okay.
94. She's about 20.
All right. I need to.
She's not moving, Keyona!
Ma'am, they're on the way. I need to ask you, is she breathing? Ma'am, is she breathing?
I'm not a ma'am. No, I'm her brother.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Please come on.
They're on their way there. Breathing. Med 1.
Like her arm broke.
Med 1 established, 911 on.
Okay.
Well, you can stay on.
I'm sorry, what was that?
You want to stay on.
Okay. Where is she bleeding from?
I don't know. It just
somebody stabbed her. Right here.
Yeah, somebody stabbed her or something.
She's been stabbed?
Yes, it's blood everywhere. My little sister is naked. Please come on.
Okay. Sir, they're on the way, okay?
All right.
Is she breathing?
No, I don't know. I don't know how to tell. She's not moving. I'm yelling her name. She's not moving.
Okay.
Please.
All right, they're on the way there. I need you to tell me now every time she takes a breath in. I need to know if she's breathing.
Oh, no, she's not moving. It's like she's
not breathing.
Everywhere, like she's been bleeding for a long time.
Okay.
So this is obviously horrific. This caller was, as you heard in the call, Keyona's older brother, Sanford Cummings II. I cannot imagine what he was feeling after walking in and finding his little sister naked and murdered. Just brutal. It took the police another 7 minutes to arrive back at 553 Sheldon, and what they found was awful. Keyona was found first. She had been shot 4 times, and one of those shots was to her face. She was naked and dead, and there was blood everywhere, just as Sanford had described. Officers also went on to find Charlotta, Keyona's aunt. She was also dead, and she had appeared to have been shot once in the back of the head. Charlotta was found lying on her bed. It looked as though she had been watching something on her iPad, which was still propped up next to her and still playing video. She still had earbuds in her ears. So it definitely looked like she had been snuck up on and just shot, like, she'd been hitman style. Charlotta was said to have been a very quiet and introverted person. All of her family members describe her as very loving, but like super shy. She had no social media, and she was living with Daryl, and her family members described their situation as like Charlotta had never had a boyfriend before, and this was her first relationship and like the first time that she had ever been in love before. So they were all kind of cool with it, but, you know, it was not like anything amazing, apparently. Investigators quickly began looking for the other two people who lived in the house. They did find Keyona's grandmother, Jacqueline. She had left for work early that morning at 8 a.m. She said nothing was wrong and everything was fine, and she left for work only to find out about all of this later. The last person was Daryl J. Brown, and he was not as easy to track down. As the police began to search the area, they found a discarded gun, described as a high-point firearm, along with a box of ammunition that was missing 8 bullets. The gun and the bullets were linked to the scene via the shell casings. They were a ballistic match or whatever. The gun was later found to have been registered to a woman who'd reported it stolen back in 2017. And interestingly, this woman was an ex-girlfriend of none other than Daryl Brown, aka Jay, the only unaccounted for resident of 553 Sheldon. The search was on for Daryl Brown. Shortly after the murders, Daryl was seen on a few surveillance cameras. First, he was seen 1 hour after the murders, about 1 mile north of the scene. And then he was captured on camera at the Grand Rapids Children's Museum. According to the guy at the front desk that you see Daryl interacting with, Daryl had asked to be let in. I assume let in for free, because he said he knew somebody inside. I don't know if it was somebody who worked there or just somebody who was in there, but he was denied this entry. Daryl left the museum 12 minutes after he entered. After that, Daryl was seen one more time on video surveillance camera, and after that, he disappeared, never to be seen again. He is currently wanted, and he is considered the only suspect in the murders of Keyona Griffin and Charlotta Baber-Bay. There is a $25,000 reward for information leading to his arrest. And that is what I meant to say when I said that this was a kind of unsolved case. The police are pretty sure they know who did it, but they can't find him. Now, the part about this case that is cause for controversy is how Keyona's 911 call was handled and responded to. And that we will go into a little bit further. The big question for me when it comes to the police reaction are, why are the 3 officers so casual when they approach 553 Sheldon Avenue? And why did they not force their way into the home? And I'm not the only one who wonders these things. Go to Reddit. The 911 call seemed extremely concerning to me. You have a girl whispering, "Can you just hurry up, please? I'm fitting to die. He's trying to kill me. He already killed my auntie. Can you please hurry up, please?" End quote, whatever. Keyona very clearly states that somebody is trying to kill her. What else is she supposed to say? I just don't see any reason that this should have been handled with the casual nature that we clearly see on the body cam footage. Am I wrong? Prove me wrong, please. Now, Internal Affairs did an investigation into the situation, and they found that the 911 operator had missed Keyona saying something pretty key, which was, quote, "He already killed my auntie," end quote. The 911 operator claims that they didn't hear that, and that's not crazy, and I don't think we should fault the 911 operator for not hearing that. Clearly, this was it was difficult to understand what Keyona was saying, absolutely. However, the 911 operator, there's no evidence to me, because a lot of this stuff is redacted, which we'll get to, but there's no indication that the 911 operator did not hear Keyona say, quote, "He's trying to kill me," end quote. So I'm not sure what I'm missing here. Is "he's trying to kill me" not a claim of imminent danger? What more could Keyona have said to get the police to hustle a little bit more? I just don't understand. The other aspect that people have criticized is that the police did not force their way in. And the police are kind of trying to say, like, if we had known that Charlotta Baber-Bay was killed and inside the residence dead, then that would have been enough. Again, we'll get into it, but as I was reading through different opinions on this, it does seem that there's a reasonable debate about whether or not they could have or should have busted down the door. The police department claimed that if the 911 operator had heard the statement that her auntie was dead, they would have busted in. Fine. Here's what I could find about the legalities of the police entering a home in a response to a 911 call. In the state of Michigan, the police can enter a home in response to a 911 call if they have a valid search warrant, if they have probable cause to believe that a crime is being committed, or if they believe that there is an emergency situation that requires immediate action to protect somebody from harm. In the case of an emergency situation, such as a 911 call reporting a domestic violence incident or a possible overdose, the police can enter the home without a warrant if they have a reasonable belief that there is an imminent threat to someone's safety. However, they are required to announce their presence and provide a clear opportunity for anyone inside to comply with their commands before using force to enter their home. Now, many people have pointed out specifically that in Grand Rapids, a city with a very high crime rate, the police can't just go busting into people's homes without enough cause. Because I guess they believe that would happen so often. They say that there was no sign of anything going on when the police looked around, and that's true. I guess the risk of police entering too many homes without real cause is that there's a high risk of people actually getting hurt, and I think that's definitely true. And with that, an increase, they believe, in prank phone calls of people, swatting each other and stuff like that. And I think that's true. We've seen many cases where there's mistakes made, or, Breonna Taylor incident, or people, if you're kind of surprised by the police entering your home, I think it's definitely a higher chance that you're not going to comply properly, and then maybe they shoot you or something. And I totally get that. That's true. I definitely do not think that argument holds no merit. But part of this does have to be at the police discretion, because every situation is extremely different. It's hard to say, in this situation you could do this, in this situation. These are inherently very extreme cases, as the police are being called. But what does seem clear to me, based on what I just read you, is that if the police believe somebody is in imminent danger, they can enter a home. If they believe a crime is being committed, they can enter a home. And based on that 911 call, even if you discard the part where Keyona says that her auntie is dead, it seems to me that there is a very likely possibility that a crime is being committed and that somebody is in imminent danger. It is my opinion that the 911 operator had to have not taken Keyona seriously in order to have treated the situation so casually. Now, I am trying to be very generous to this 911 operator, because I am just a random lady on the internet, so what do I know? But if somebody says he's going to kill me, you either take that situation seriously and get everyone hustling their asses to the scene because somebody is about to be murdered, or you make the assumption that the person is lying or on drugs or something, and you call it in, and you don't really relay the urgency of the situation and just, kind of don't really care. And it really seems to me like this was the latter. Now, this is a big guess, but I do think that if the actual urgency of the matter was relayed to the officers, maybe they would have broken in. And I believe that this was a failing on the 911 operator.
But then you have someone calling you saying someone is trying to kill me, and you won't knock down the door. You don't know. She could have been tied up in this house. Anything.
It was, quiet and the doors were locked.
Grand Rapids Police and Kent County's prosecutor defended GRPD's response to Keyona's 911 call, explaining officers saw nothing at the house that gave them legal cause to break in.
And there's no blood, it's a shut-up house. The house is a very protected Fourth Amendment. They're you got to have some pretty good reasons to go in, and there got to be something that drive them more than just a phone call.
They didn't care. They was here a minimum of 3 minutes, and they went on about their happy way. And then at 1 o'clock or so, you get another call to the officers.
Same house.
And the same
and you
officers
come here
come
now.
back.
You got to bring my family out in body bags because you didn't care at 10 o'clock.
I have to say, I really feel for this family. Obviously, they lost 2 loved ones, and this does seem to me like a failing on the part of emergency services. It's interesting because a lot of people say, like, you know, you have to think about this 911 operator or this, you know, they're in a very high crime area, so they hear a lot of these things or whatever, but it's like, if it's a very high crime area, doesn't that mean that the likelihood that this is an actual crime and that there's actual danger is higher? Like, shouldn't we be more diligent in high crime areas because there's more of a likelihood that a crime is being committed? And maybe this is, as I said before, an issue of resources, but I don't understand what the difference in resources would be between, like, running to the scene versus casually walking up the front steps as if you're, you know, coming to your friend's house for a dinner party. Like, hustle a little bit. To top off this awful story, in July of 2020, 533 Sheldon actually went on to burn down. And in the midst of that house burning down, Jacqueline Baber-Bay, the grandmother, and her 5-year-old grandson, Amarian, died in the fire, which is just horrific. That's 4 family members taken at 553 Sheldon. According to the fire department, the fire was ruled as unintentional, and they believe that it was due to some candles burning, which were burning in the memory of Keyona and Charlotta. So just let that tragedy sink in. I wish I could have left on a happier note. Not that none of these cases end on a happy note, so, like, you know, it's not any different. But there's 4 dead family members and a killer on the loose. Just end on taking this man's face in, burn his image into your brain, and hopefully one day he will be found and we will see justice for Keyona and Charlotta. And hopefully, my God, I hope that he does not harm anyone else while he is on the run as a fugitive. This is a dangerous man, and if you see him, I don't know, I assume you should not approach him, and you should call the police immediately. That is the story of Keyona Griffin and her 911 call. It's interesting because I do see a lot of people online. There's a lot of people who take, I guess, the opinion that I have, which was that the door should have been broken down. There was probable cause. It's my opinion that that is the case. But a lot of people take the other side and think that they did not have enough probable cause to break down the door. But, you know, one of the things was, like, it was so quiet, but it's like, yeah, she was whispering, like, this was a quiet situation. Why would you have expected, like, anything different? I don't know. It just bugs me. I would love to hear any opinions in the comments. Love to spark a conversation about it because it is a debate. And if anyone has any experience being an 911 operator or in emergency services, and you take issue with anything I said, please let me know. I don't mean to say it. I know it's you know, it's not easy being an emergency services person, being a police officer or a 911 operator or whatever. Like, these people take a lot of shit, and I don't like to just lightly throw criticism their way. I do think this call was very difficult to interpret as a 911 operator, but it just seems like if it's hard to interpret, you should just always interpret it as this is a dire situation, because what if it is? In this case, it was. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm right. Just talk to me. You can find me on Instagram at Who's Knocking Podcast. You can find me via email at hello@whosknockingpodcast.com. You can also find my newsletter, which is called Grim Weekly, at grimweekly.com. It's fun, it's fresh, it's fancy. It's one of those things. Yeah, take a look. And please stay safe, because you never know who's knocking. This podcast is produced in collaboration with Lost Line Media. Artwork by August Digital. Music by Matthew Cook.